Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Raj or Raja Yoga or Yoga of Meditation, J. Lakhani Hindu Academy. I will say that picture, it looks like he's mad, but it's just a bad spot. And that's the thumbnail, by the way, for the original video. So anyways, let's go and get started because this is a long one.
You see, all religions talk about God and some kind of something special about all of us, underpinning us, spirit or something. But it sounds a bit airy-fairy and woolly, and how can you believe in stuff like that? You heard the stories about gods and goddesses and prophets, and can you truly believe in stuff like that? There's one aspect to our tradition which says, don't believe. It allows us to be agnostic Hindus, saying, I'm not sure. In fact, a humble agnostic is better than a bombastic theist saying, I'm sure there's God. How can you be sure? Have you seen him? Why do you assert yourself so strongly? So the tradition we come from says it is a good idea to adopt an attitude of being a very humble agnostic, saying, I'm not sure. I've heard about it. It sounds reasonable. Maybe there's some truth behind it, but I cannot be sure. This is why this is a very open system of thought. It allows you to think for yourself and decide if what is being promoted or given to you makes sense to you, whether you can accept it or swallow it. It's very important for you to be able to do that. And throughout our sessions that I do at Eton, I will make sure that you feel comfortable. Any ideas that don't appear acceptable or you feel kind of too woolly, reject them. I'm telling you, reject them. You're allowed to do that. Think for yourself. That's most important.
And this is the thing I keep saying in a lot of my videos, is that the thing that I like about Hinduism is the fact that don't believe. I mean, come on, like coming from learning about a lot of the Abrahamic religions where you have to believe, don't question it and all of that, to come to this one where he says, no, yeah, absolutely, do not believe. Experience it for yourself. If you don't believe in it, throw it away. Find something else. I will say, for me, if I don't believe, I'm not going to throw it away, but I'll say, well, doesn't make any sense. I don't think so. But I'll keep it in mind, and if more things come up that make sense, then I can say, oh, this thing that I don't, this thing I don't believe before, or didn't quite understand, fits in with this puzzle now. It all makes sense. Which is what has been going through this entire process for me, where, back in the day about duality and non-duality didn't really make sense. I understood non-duality, but then how do you get duality? And all of these things like Brahman, Atman, it took a while for all the puzzles to fit, even though I didn't believe in it. But then once they started explaining a lot of things, a lot of the puzzles started to fit together, and I can understand it. Now, but believing in it, again, for me, it's still kind of a belief because I have no proof behind it, but there's three different aspects that match up very well with what they're teaching in terms of the materialistic, that in between, and then from what I'm understanding as Advaita Vedanta.
But thinking is okay. You can think and drink cups of coffee and work out whether there's God or no God. But how can you be really sure? This is what we are going to touch on today. And the way you can be truly sure, really 100% sure, is encounters of the first kind. If there's something called God or spirit or something special about you, you must come face to face with it. You must experience it for yourself. Not your prophet, not your textbooks. You can say, oh, it's written in my script, it's written. We say, okay, keep this scribble. So my prophet saw him, good for him, not for me. This is the attitude you should adopt. This is the breadth of vision. It allows you to kind of progress spiritually in a mode that suits you at your own pace, and that is acceptable to your own common sense. This is why it's a very beautiful tradition. And this is also true of all Indic religions, really. For example, next door we have the Buddhist class, and again they also talk about the idea of unless religion becomes experiential. This is one of the great teachings of Buddha. Unless things make sense to you, reject, says Buddha. And Hindus agree with that, absolutely. You should reject. Because the only filter you have to make sense of the world that you encounter is this thing called rationality. It may be a bit, kind of wonky, not so, well worked out, but so be it. That's the best thing you have. So use your rational faculty to make sense of the world and ideas about religion for yourself, because it's the best filter you have to make sense of the world. Don't switch that off in the name of religion. We do not like this idea that, somebody said so, it must be true. No, think for yourself. Does it appear acceptable? So this is how we start our journey. In fact, it's not very different from the journey of sciences. Sciences too start with a hypothesis. It's always, you might think science proves. Science doesn't prove. It just offers a hypothesis, means a belief system that says, in order for us to explain why things operate in a particular manner, let's invent the theory of gravitation. Let's produce the theory of electromagnetism. So science is a faith system, a belief system which says, let us work on this hypothesis. It's not proof that this is how we can explain how things are attracted or how things operate. So sciences are a faith system. The only good thing about science is this. It's a faith system that allows you to jump from one hypothesis to another hypothesis. It's ready to challenge its own hypothesis and move on rather than say, oh, we are fixated, it's written down, it's fixed. Religions are stuck. Many religions are stuck. They say, no, it's all fixed with my book, it's finished. There's no
Sorry.
No discussion.
Okay, I hate when he says that science is belief, but it's just in a sense it is true. When you talk about hypothesis and all that, it's very much saying it's generally based on, it's like, okay, here's a hypothesis. This is how I think it works. But the thing about I guess science is the fact that it can get proven or disproven, because obviously science is objective. It's the transactional reality. So everything in the transactional or objective reality can be measured by devices or by our our hearing, our taste, our sight, our sound, whatever, our senses. So, and I hate what he says is true, and I just don't like it. It's not faith-based system, but it's a system where we say, okay, we think this is what it is, but it can be proven or disproven. But I guess because of Western thinking of what is faith-based is the fact that faith-based stuff is not proven or disproven. That's the reason why it's called faith. You must take it upon faith that it is true, that it's real.
They are in trouble. Sciences are, if you like, evolving hypotheses, and the tradition that you come from is also an evolving tradition. It allows you to operate depending on the world that you encounter. So we jump from one hypothesis to another hypothesis, but still hypothesis. Where's the proof? Many people think science proves everything. Science doesn't prove. It just kind of adopts particular hypothesis that is so far so good. I'll give you one example because you are science students, I'm sure. Long time ago, Newton came up with the idea, two lumps of matter, they're attracted to each other, and the rule is the force of attraction is called G, M1, M2 or R squared. So, oh, very clever, it works. All the planets can be explained. Wonderful. And in no time, we said, oh, hang on. Einstein came along. He said, no, there's no such thing. The lumps of matter don't whistle each other. Hello, come here, I love you. They don't do things, they attract each other because you're big, heavy. I attract you, I'm attracted me even more. So they don't operate like this. It's just a hypothesis invented by Newton which seemed to work. So far, so good. Then Einstein comes and says, no, there's no such thing. Gravitation is nothing but, it's a very mathematically, very beautiful idea, a curvature in space-time, and that appears as gravitational attraction. So, it's so clever. In 2 days, we threw out Newton and brought in Einstein. So sciences are evolving hypotheses, jumping from one hypothesis to another hypothesis. But that's the beauty of it, is open for challenges. So when a hypothesis fails, you adopt a new one, a better one that can explain things better. This is why science is such a very powerful tool. That is why most youngsters love science, because it's open to evolution. It's not stuck. Only Newton, finish, nothing more.
Yes, and that's the thing. Well, I will say this, is that I think there are, hopefully this is true, and I do believe it to be true. There are, I won't say absolute truths, there's objective truths. Basically, it's just the fact that because science is still relatively new, and we don't have all the equipment to determine whether something is is true or not to the best degree. We can say this is about as true as we can get it so far until we discover new things. So it's not to say, oh, well, that was used to be true, now it's false. It's like, well, new discoveries change our perspective of things. New equipment will change our theories. So until we can get the best equipment possible and that we know every plausible outcome of things, we don't know what the objective truth is. We always keep coming closer and closer to the objective truth, but until we have all the information and the best technology possible to get the objective truth, it's always just a little bit. That's I don't know why I'm doing the Pac-Man thing, but we're always coming closer and closer to what the truth is, which is basically what I'm saying. Where we went from, was it Einstein to Newton, or Newton to Einstein's theory, where Einstein or Newton had a good theory, then all of a sudden we discovered new things or new equipment came along, and then the other theory overtook it. But yeah.
No, as we move on, we may find that Einstein theory also are somehow suspect in some cases. And you are allowed to think like that and move on. The same is true with the tradition that you come from. Hinduism says, unless religion's ideas become experiential for you, don't believe, my friend, don't believe. Say, oh dear, we never thought it would be like that. We thought it would be just prescriptive, believe, otherwise you're going to hell. You don't do things like that. Okay, now so how do you find out there's something deeper? Let me tell you the story. The Western world the people in the West had to face tremendous struggle with the forces of nature outside, the wind and the cold winters and so on. So their mind was naturally drawn towards the outside world, and they actually mastered nature external extremely well. That is why you got all these gizmos and fantastic tools you have. You in a way mastered the laws of physical world that you encounter, nature external, and use them for our benefit. This is a speciality of the Western civilization and Western sciences, and I give full credit for that. I'm a physicist by qualification. I know the power of physics. So it has given us a very fine grasp of reality. And because we have got a grasp of it, we can use it for our betterment, like creating all these gizmos that they are using. This is the beauty of science. So the West has mastered nature external, turned it into a very durable exercise, betterment for the greater humanity. Good for them. In India, things were different. We did not have to fight nature external, because everything was well organized for us. The weather was really good, the land was very fertile. You can wear a loincloth and go under the tree and sit and meditate and kind of contemplate. And what is all this about? So we had the luxury of not mastering nature external, but mastering nature internal. What are the inner faculties we possess that we need to come to terms with? We could focus, full time on it, and that's what we did for thousands of years. And in this process of looking inwards, trying to make sense of who we are, what is our true nature, what is our own makeup, we hit the jackpot, real jackpot. This is how Hinduism started. This is the beginning of Hinduism. It started roughly 4,000-5,000, exact date not available. And this started by one particular gentleman. Whether it's historic or mythological, I don't know, but I like this guy.
That's a very interesting interpretation about Western and Eastern. Although I think everyone had to fight nature, obviously. So, anyways, but yeah, it makes me wonder. It's like there are some, I guess, in terms of Roman times, where Westerners did look inwards a little bit, but perhaps not as hard. And I guess there was, in terms of the Western perspective, to focus outwardly. And again, a great comment was, if you want to know more about external stuff, look at the Western world. If you want to know more about the internal stuff, look at the Eastern world. And I'd say more, well, I guess that's true because of the spread of the yogas into China, Japan. I don't know about South Korea though. That is Asian, but I don't know if it's spread over there. I'm not sure. I know Japan kind of has a weird one because they tend to focus within the group themselves. So there's a high respect for each other, but I don't know how popular it is over there anymore. Seems pretty strong in terms of China and definitely in India, I'm guessing, because this is where it all, I think, originated from. But then I don't know where else. You look Western world, pretty much all Western worlds have this outward looking thing, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but because the lack of introspection, the look inside, there's a lot of problems internally that manifest externally as well. I think a balance of both, but more focus on the inner part. I think is mandatory. And this is the thing that I'm hoping that maybe I get a lot more. I don't know. I need to find a way to attract Westerners to this so that they need to get an introspection of of themselves, so that there's not so much trouble, so much internal turmoil. And that's what my, I guess, kind of my objective is. Well, to spread the word of, not necessarily spread the word of this, but to get people thinking and to give something like this a shot to see if it makes their lives better.
His name is Kapil.
Kapil.
Now this Kapil is perhaps the first person in the history of humanity who was successful in looking inward to see what is my true nature. And this is where the magic happens. Real magic happens. This is the foundation of Hinduism, what Kapil discovered. He said, by looking inward regarding what is my true nature, then he said, okay, first of all, the first fixation you have is the body. Surely you are the body. Come on, you can't be anything more than the body. I've been, ouch, surely that's me. Nothing else, can't be anything more. But then he looked inward, he said, no. I'm more than the body. The body is part of me, definitely one of my dimensions, but I've got other dimensions. The other dimension I have discovered, Kapil, is the mind. Now you may think this is 4,000, 5,000 year old history. So he said, my inner makeup is the mind that I possess that allows me to make sense of the world that I live in. It's my mind that tells me I'm a male, I'm intelligent, I like this, I don't like this, like that. All these faculties that I possess, my inner self gives me my character, and there is my mental faculty. So he said, so maybe I'm not the body, but I'm the mind. What my mind tells me, that's what I am, surely. The body is one of the things my mind says, you got this body. But apart from the mind tells me who I am. My character is really the mind. It sounded very clever, isn't it? In fact, let me tell you, a few hundred years ago in France, we had this lovely philosopher called Descartes. And this is exactly what he did. Same, this is recent, but this is kind of done in a Western style. He said, when he looked at the world, he said, the world that I see seems to be of appearances. And the way, how he discovered it, he was rowing a boat, and when the oar went inside the water, it appears bent. Have you noticed that? It appears bent. He said, the oar is not bent, but it appears bent. So the physical world I feel so sure about is an appearance. My true nature is not what it appears to be, but surely my mind. Therefore his main kind of famous saying, I think, therefore I am. So that is his contribution at the mind. Now this ancient Kapil actually didn't stop with the mind. He went deeper. And you say, how can you go deeper than that? He said, in the mind, there is a special faculty we all possess. The mind has got a very powerful faculty that makes us very special as human beings. And the faculty is called the determining faculty of the mind. It means the mind has got this natural ability. With animals is very rudimentary, with human is much more advanced, of actually trying to link up objects and events. And when you see even a baby begins to realize that, when it screams, they get milk. So they begin to relate, if you like, use these kind of boxes to see the world they live in. This is called induction and deduction in logic. If you're studying logic, you'll come across it. Means trying to put things into boxes and linking up the boxes. It's a natural, we do it naturally. We don't kind of have to go to university and study logic. We just do it. When we see certain objects, events, we link them up automatically. We know that this happens and this will follow, and this, if I'm hungry, I have to go to the cafeteria, whatever. So you got this kind of ability to make sense of the world using this, if you like, very special faculty of the mind called the determining faculty of the mind. See the beautiful analysis. Now this determining faculty of the mind, in the Sanskrit term, is called buddhi. In the Western terms, it can call it the intellect, the power of, you like, rationality. This thing springs naturally, we don't know how, it seems to be in the mind. Let me give an example of a very famous mathematician, English mathematician that I love.
Okay, before he gets to that, I do wanted to say about the fact that he's pointing out this person that lived so long ago and talking about another person, I think, therefore I am. Again, another person who lived some time ago. It's, to me, let me know what you guys think about this. It's very strange to think, I think people today are smarter than the people in the past. But the people in the past are much wiser than the people of today. It is so weird. Do you distinguish wisdom and intellect? I do. I consider intellect someone like Einstein or I don't know, Jeff Bezos, I guess. He's smart in business, I suppose. Or Elon Musk, or, geniuses of the world who are very, very intelligent. Wisdom, I would say, are people who are like Sadhguru. I sad to say, I don't know if any Western person who is very well. Actually, Eckhart. I'm sorry. I do believe him to be a very wise person as well. But not very many Western people are wise. There are a lot of intelligent people throughout the entire world, but seems like wisdom kind of died some time ago, and there's a severe lack of wisdom in the world today. And mind you, there seems to be some wisdom, at least as far as I'm seeing, in terms coming from, well, so far India, in terms of the teaching of Advaita Vedanta, who I am, and all of this. I don't know, but then I haven't really searched what other types of wisdom are out there. Philosophy is supposed to be that, but I don't know if it's being pushed very much, or whether it's popular over here or anywhere for that matter. And I think that's kind of worrisome. I think there needs to be... The sad truth of the matter, I suppose, is that wisdom used to come with age and with experience, but a lot of things are so easy this day that wisdom tends to be lacking. You need to be more intelligent, but you lack wisdom, and that creates a lot of internal turmoil, because I think wisdom teaches you how to be wise about, well, things that intellect cannot do. Let me know what you think about that. Do you think that there are less wise people today than the past, but yet there are more intellectual people today than the past? Whew.
I like him very much. He's passed away. His name is Bernard Russell. Now Russell, you see, very honest, straightforward chap, fixated on mathematics and logic. He loves logic. So he tried to produce a big text, spent about 30 or 40 years of his life producing a text which will say, I will produce a system of logic that will give me, if you like, a handle on whole of reality totally. It must be complete and self-consistent. I'm going to produce this mathematical structure. He spent 30, 40 years of his life developing a logic which will give him, if you like, a mathematical tool to try and understand everything in the creation, everything and anything. He said, I'll do that. Can you imagine what a clever chap? So this great mathematician was once asked, you are so focused on what, I'm sure most of you love mathematics. You are so focused on mathematics. What is mathematics? Somebody asked him. So it's nice to ask this pointed question to these kind of lovely people. And this is the beautiful answer which I like. He said, I have no clue what is mathematics. He is the greatest mathematician of this English nation. He said, I have no clue what is mathematics. I seem to possess it and it seems to work. See, this is the determining faculty that's already inherent in us. So if you try and say exactly what it's part of the, like our makeup, mental makeup, we already have it. That's how we can make sense of the world. The determining faculty or the intellect we possess is a natural faculty we possess to make sense of the world that we live in. So Kapil discovered the next stage. First he said, body? No, I'm not the body, I'm more than that. Body is part of me, but I'm more. He went to the mental mode. Mind, maybe, but in the mind there's this determining faculty. Maybe that is my true nature. So he got fixated. Again he moved on. See, this is a beautiful, lovely, true story. I suspect it's a true story about a great personality in ancient India who really went deep inward to make sense of his own true nature. And here he hit the jackpot. Through this introspection, this inward journey, he went to the idea that I'm the mind, so he started observing his mind, the vagaries of the mind, the kind of whirlpools of the mind. He started observing that. Also observed determining factor that seems to be inherent, kind of fixated on the mind. Then he went further. And this is where we hit the jackpot. He said, I am not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, not the ego that holds everything together. I am something greater and grander. And the word he discovered for the first time, the word that they use in Sanskrit is Purusha. Purusha doesn't mean man, it means something different from the material world I encounter. I am something dramatically different from the body, the mind and the intellect. And this is the beginning of Hinduism. All the gods and goddesses came much, much later just to try and enforce this idea in a colorful story-like manner. But this is the beauty, the depth of Hindu tradition. Now this is what yoga is all about. Trying to discover our true nature is not just the body, the mind, the vagaries of the mind, but something deeper that lies within us, that is manifesting through the body and the mind, and yet it is not the body and the mind. This is the beginning of yoga. Rediscovering our essential nature is something quite different from what we ever think. We always think we are just creepy crawly. Oh, I'm so old and I've got these parents and I live here. This is how you're fixated. Your whole being is fixated on what you think you are rather than what you actually are. This distinction between what you think you are and what you actually are is the transition of, if you like, experiential religion. Not just belief system, actually experience it for yourself. I'm going to give you a brief introduction to yoga, how you do this, begin this journey, and why it's such a dramatic one. The first requirement is this. You can try it out here now. First requirement is this. It says the posture that you adopt to begin your journey of yoga, especially the yoga that I'm teaching, not the one that you do postures and put your leg over your shoulder. I don't teach stuff like that. I'm talking about the deeper yoga, the spiritual yoga. It's called Raj Yoga. And the first requirement it says is this. You must lead a very disciplined life to start your journey before you can meditate. Have you noticed? If you are living in a kind of frenzied lifestyle, if you close your eyes and want to try and meditate, you will not succeed. You'll just come out feeling more worse than before. It just rattles you. It doesn't help you one bit. If you want to be serious about meditation and yoga, your routine life must be ordered. I'm not saying, you must be stickler for this, but just be ordered lifestyle. Because that means you are already kind of in a way have got a handle on your mind. You are a much more regulated person. So first requirement is lead a very organized life. And fortunately for you guys at Eton, this comes naturally. This is almost imposed on you. You've got a very regular set of ways to kind of lead your daily routine. In a way it appears to be kind of prescriptive and tiresome, but it disciplines your body and the mind. That is why they produce great people from Eton, because of this severe discipline they are imposed while you are here. It trains you. It in a way allows you to become a better person, more rounded person, a person who is in charge of your own faculties. So the first thing is you must in a way make sure your life is ordered. And this is called in the ancient system yama and niyama, but you don't have to remember stuff like that. Then the next step comes. If you want to meditate, if you want to do postures to improve your health, it's called Hatha Yoga. There are 84 postures you can adopt. I'm not here to teach that. If you wish to succeed in Raj Yoga, the yoga of meditation, it only asks you for one posture, one single posture. The posture is very simple. It says locate a place in your house, in your room, wherever you live, where it is quiet. You don't want disturbance, no televisions blaring away, etc. Quiet. It is comfortable and without disturbance. So nobody keeps knocking in and says, hello, what are you doing? A quiet place where you can isolate yourself for a short time. First requirement. Find a place, location, in your room, in your house, wherever you live. Then say, what about the timing? What time should you meditate? Again, the system is very open. It says when you, for example, middle of the night, you may say, I want to sort myself. What the heck is going on? Let me try out this thing. You can sit cross-legged on your bed and meditate middle of the night. No rule that must take 6 o'clock in the morning. It's good for you to put in some kind of discipline. For example, I do the following. I meditate twice a day, and my discipline is before breakfast and before supper. Because then I feel it's like a discipline. I can't have my breakfast unless oh dear, I have not meditated, so I must do that. So it forces me a discipline. So you choose a time that suits your own requirement. And there's no imposition. This is a very powerful system of thought. Say, think. Suppose in the middle of the night it grabs you, you want to meditate. 2 o'clock in the morning, you want to meditate. No fixed rule. You don't say, you must take a bath and do this and that. Just meditate when it captures your attention. You want to do that.
I will say this, and this is why I think Raja is being one of the hardest. I know I want to go back also where I made this comment some time ago where someone said they believe Raja being the easiest because there's no requirement. I guess it could go both ways. I would have honestly thought that it was a pretty universal agreement that Raja is probably the hardest because, one, your life cannot be hectic. You cannot be your mind, because if your life is hectic, like, what do I need to do tomorrow? Do I need to wash my clothes? Do I need to wash my car? Do I need to go to work? Do I need to go buy groceries? Do I have enough milk or whatever? Your mind's always racing about thoughts and things that you need to do. And if you have that, if you don't ease all those things, it's very difficult to meditate. Then also you have to find a place that's quiet, that's comfortable, that's not too hot or too cold. There's so many things that has to be perfect in a sense to be able to meditate. And even, and I like to take it back to, I can't remember, I think it's Dandapani that said that, even if you're not necessarily in the mood, but if you have time to just spend 5 minutes meditating, even though you're not in the mood and a little bit distracted, I think what he's trying to get at is to get kind of a habit going where your first time meditating is not going to be easy. You're going to be distracted. You're going to find, like me, like your hair starts moving. It's like freaking itchy. I notice those things. And then your mind's going to be thinking a lot of things. I guess the whole point is to be consistent with meditation to kind of, I guess, get into a consistent routine with meditation, and throughout the preceding days to take care of a lot of the issues that you were thinking of, so that meditation becomes easier and that there's not so many distractions, and that you're already in this kind of routine. Eventually it will hopefully work, because your body starts to think, okay, this is the time to stop thinking of things or stop itching like crazy. But yeah, and that's like you're saying, when you feel like it, you just do it, and obviously yes. But if I think it's good to put it into practice every day, whether you feel like it or not. But obviously, within a certain criteria that, if you can do it, even though you don't want to, you should try to do it. Get it into a routine so that it becomes easier like if you do it every day, it becomes easier and easier, a little bit easier every single day.
It's the best time to meditate, when you want it.
Oh yeah.
Traditionally they say dawn and dusk are the best time for you to meditate, because somehow the whole atmosphere seems to become quiet at dusk and dawn. Have you noticed suddenly at this time, look, things become quiet gently. The whole atmosphere seems to calm down. If you like, the mindset of human beings seem to calm down at this time, dusk and dawn. So they recommend dusk and dawn, but there's no fixed rule. Be careful. When the kind of severe intention grabs you, want to do it, do it. Okay, now what do you do? First thing is, find a kind of quiet location, and the most important aspect of this particular part of the posture you require is your backbone must be straight. That's all. You can sit on a chair, you can sit on the floor, you can sit on your bed. The important thing, they say, look, do you know why? Have you noticed another thing? When I go to schools, I go to lots of schools to do assemblies. When I look at the youngsters, I know straight away. Those who are kind of bent over, the backbone is broken already. They are losers already. When I see somebody sit up straight away, sit up, they're masters. They say, oh no, there's something here special. They in fact are respecting their own selves, rather than say, oh, I'm nobody, I'm a creepy crawly. So first thing required, Raj Yoga, most important, is sit up straight. Doesn't matter whether you're on a chair. No fixed rule, you can't sit on a chair and meditate. Who said that? You can sit on a stool, on your bed, on the floor, cross-legged or straight, putting your feet down, no problem. You must be steady. That's all it says, steady. Why do they insist on this? This particular state of meditation, beginning of meditation, says there is a strong link between the body and the mind. You don't realize, but there is. Have you noticed, for example, if your mind is in a turmoil, your body will suffer straight away. You get depression, you get acidity, you get all sorts of problems. So the mind and the body are strongly linked. You can't avoid it. They are strongly intertwined. So this particular system of thought says, when you sit up straight and sit quiet, the first requirement is sit still as if you are a piece of rock, piece of wood. So that even, this is a true story. You must sit so quiet, no fidgeting, no scratching, nothing, no sneezing. Just sit up straight and be completely motionless.
I'll say I felt that already, because whenever I watch his videos, I'm just sitting here. But I don't know if you noticed me moving or anything in this video or not. But I kind of do like that with my leg. I don't know why. It's just I don't know if that's something of habit, or do I need to be moving or doing something while I'm sitting, even though I'm watching something? I'm talking about the itching portion. Yeah, whenever I'm just sitting there trying to, I won't say necessarily meditate, but at least to start the routine, to try to see if I can just sit there and be peaceful, not so many thoughts in the mind, not so many things going on. But I start feeling any kind of hair movement, I could feel it, and it's like it's magnified because there's nothing going on, and it's a distraction.
Don't even flicker your eyelids. Close your eyes and just sit still. You may think it's easy, and I'm telling you, when you try it for the first time, every itch you can imagine will appear. You say, I just need a little bit itch here. Oh, this here. I never knew it was there. It'll happen. You can't stop it. The itches that you never had before, when you try and sit down quietly for 5 minutes, the itches will appear from everywhere. Yoo-hoo! This happens. Your mind, your body is saying, no way, I'm not going to play ball with this guy. It always kind of brings up all these itches. But the thing, yoga says, calm down. Stop scratching, sit straight, sit up straight, and stop, be motionless. Do you know why motionless? Because what happens, the body and mind are linked. So if you can hold the body still, you say, no movement, nothing, no stretching, no sneezing, nothing. You sit up straight and sit still. Try it. Huh? First you will have tremendous problem. Even sitting still is not easy. Forget about going into deep meditation and discovering you are this and that. Just sitting still is not easy. You will find out.
Now I get what he meant by body and mind are intertwined. I did not realize it, but yes. Like, I guess if any part of your body's moving, your mind is so attentive of everything that's going on in your body. If you're like the hairs, even the hairs, like if your hair moves or whatever and it itches, your skin says, hey, you know, it's like it's alerting. It's like, hey, itchy over here, and your mind says, let's scratch it, you know, or the fact that, you know, if you're moving your hand, your mind is active. Anytime you move something with your body, your mind is active. So to quiet the mind, you have to quiet the body, and then once you quiet the body, you can quiet the physical movement of your mind. Like, you know, your body, obviously your mind controls the fingers, the hand, and everything in the body. But then also once you quiet the body and that portion of the mind, you have to quiet your thoughts. Then you have to quiet your emotions too. That's why I thought Raja is the hardest. For me, I think it is. Like he was explaining, the itching, distraction.
Because somehow the mind doesn't like, it knows that it's being controlled. By holding the body still, you are somehow getting a handle on the mind. It's like, shush, you shush as well. And the mind doesn't like it. It's very naughty. It wants to break free. So at the moment you say, sit still, mind, body, sit still. And when the body sits still, the mind has to calm down. The mind says, nothing doing. It'll disturb you. You'll find out. Look, as an experiment, try it out. It's Sunday still, so you can try it out later on tonight. But try it out on yourself and see how difficult it is to hold the body still. This particular stage of yoga is called asana. Just holding the body still. Simple. No contortions and nothing. Just sit still. See what happens. In no time you find that somehow your mental faculties are not in a whirl anymore. They seem to kind of begin to calm. They hate you for doing this. The mind doesn't like being controlled. They hate you. But slowly it seems to come under control, calms down. But the mind is a real mischief maker. Because have you noticed, the thing is this, the mind carries so much baggage from many previous lives. We believe in reincarnation. It's picked up so much baggage that it doesn't like to hold still even for a moment. The moment you try and close your eyes and say, okay, now I'm going to hold the mind still, just be calm, hold the mind still, straight away a string of thoughts will appear. And each thought with each word will carry some baggage that will unpack, emotional baggage will unpack. The emotional baggage may be good, bad, or mixed. Mostly it's mixed, and sometimes it's got a sting in it. You know, some bad thought appears, it stings you. So the moment you sit still, a string of thoughts will appear. And then when one baggage opens, one thought starts, when it opens to the baggage, another string of thoughts will start and take you on another journey. Now, how do you get over this? It's like going to the seaside and say, all the waves, can you stop? They don't stop, they keep hitting you. So how do you get over this idea of holding the mind? That's all. Yoga means holding the mind still. Why do they want that? Let me tell you why. You see, mind is the very powerful tool we possess next in the world. Without the mind, you're mindless. So mind is very important. If you are able to, says the yoga, if you are able to hold the mind still even for an instant, just for an instant, then suddenly you discover that you are not what you thought you are. You are able to rise above the idea you are the mind. Just hold it still. Don't say, think you are God or something. Just hold the mind still. It will not allow you. But if you are successful in holding the mind still, even for an instant, look, I'm telling you from experience. I'm not making this up because I read some books. When I was 17, I was studying at Imperial College. I was studying physics. And I used to, go into the deep meditation without be like that. The moment you hold the mind still for an instant, reality as it is shows up. So you don't need to conjure up a reality, it's spirit and all that. It becomes visible. First time you're released from this very limited idea you have regarding yourself. First time you feel freed from this very, I'm just nobody, I'm just so suffering, I'm sitting at tea in this cold weather. All this disappears. That drop off. You rise above the idea of the body and the mind. It's the most dramatic experience anybody can ever have. And I'm telling you from experience, it is not a joke, it's serious, it happens. And when you're able to rise above the idea of the body and the mind, then you can first time encounter that you've been listening about, the spirit, I'm Atman and God, and it actually becomes a reality for you. And this is the beginning of experiential religion. It is not an easy task. Do you know why? We believe in reincarnation. We've been buffeted through so many lives, been hit so hard, carried so much emotional baggages, unfulfilled desires, frustrations, depressions, stresses, all in this life as well as previous life. They all become revealed when you try and calm the mind down, because like waves, they have not disappeared, they keep overwhelming you. The trick that they ask you to use is this. As the mind is so powerful, they say, look, do the following trick, use the following trick. I'm giving the tricks. The mind can be in two places at the same time. Mind is very versatile. So they say, okay, let one part of the mind be the observer and let the other mind do the mischief. Go on all these weird trips, thought kind of experience. So one part of the same mind, one part says, okay, I'm the observer, I'm going to watch my mind, I'm going to actually observe how my mind plays its games. So you sit still and let the mind say, okay, go on your journey. All these weird thoughts you want to get, let them all come out. Let them all come out. And their weird ones will come out. Let the mind flow. Don't stop it. If you try and stop it, it will hit you back. It won't allow you. And say, okay. I'm just looking at your vagaries of your mind. What else do you want to think about? Or what else comes to your mind? So let the mind play out. And again, this is a very important trick, because the mind can be in two places. It can be the observer as well as the thing that is being kind of vacillating, kind of messing around. So you allow that to happen. And when you have that, do you know what happens? Have you seen in many young mothers, when they've got a very naughty baby, if they tell the baby, stop it, don't do this, don't climb up the steps or whatever, the baby will do exactly the opposite, will climb up. Do you know the trick the mothers use? They don't give a lecture to the baby or what the baby or the young child should do or not do. They just keep looking at the baby. Have you noticed? See, you might check out your family, they just look at the baby in a very, not in a nasty way, horrible baby, how dare you. Just in a nice, soft manner, they just keep looking at the baby. Just keep looking, observing all the gymnastics the baby wants to do or the child wants to do. Just observe all the gymnastics and keep watching. Just watchful eye. Just watch. And this happens. Try it out at your own house if you've got babies or children. The baby comes under control. It stops doing all this monkey business. Like magic, it works. In the same way, if you ask one part of the mind to be the observer and also the second part, then play your game. We are watching you.
So in another video, I was telling, I believe I answered a comment saying about how someone said how I identify as someone who thinks a lot, but I said that I'm able to observe my thoughts, but I have a feeling I don't quite have, now that I think about it, I don't think I have quite as much control as I thought. Now, mind you, I'm able to observe my thoughts, but when I have to actively observe my thoughts, it becomes difficult. It's different for some odd reason. Where when I'm just going about my day and, people ask questions or things come up in my mind, I am able to observe that kind of like a third person, I suppose. Or not third. Let me just say like if I'm standing on over the ocean being my thoughts and my mind, and I'm the figure above it, that I can observe the ocean, the turmoil that is my mind. But when it happens naturally, I'm able to observe it. But whenever I have to actively do it, I don't know if I can quite observe it just yet. So I'm starting to realize that, where again, it's kind of like when I'm having to observe my mind for the purposes of like meditation or something, that it just doesn't work for me. because I guess I'm forcing myself, which obviously if you're forcing yourself to do something, I don't think will necessarily work. It'll probably work for some people, but I'm guessing maybe this one for me it's not. As opposed to where if I were just to let it happen, where I'm not trying to force myself to observe my mind, I can do it. but it's me doing it without having to do it. But if I try to go meditate, I guess I need to use that method when I try to go meditate. It's just to be observant of the mind. But I guess that is still kind of a distraction to me.
Then in no time, the playing of games is boring. So the mind says, I don't want to play anymore. It calms down. I've just given you a brief idea of what is this mind and how important it is to get a handle on it. There are many different techniques you can use. One of the techniques they use is called pranayama. The pranayama technique simply says, if you can realize that really if you want to rise above the idea of the body, the best thing you can do is try and focus on the next level of your existence. And you know what is that? That is called prana. That means your life force. The force that allows you to breathe or makes you breathe. All the time when you're breathing, there's some kind of unconscious motion taking place in your body that allows you, the lungs to move in and out all the time. And this unconscious movement, in a way, it allows you to get a link to your next level, not the body, something more than the body, the life force that is driving or controlling your body. How do you do that? This is called pranayama. It simply says the following: sit still, breathe normally, but every time you breathe, the mind has got the ability to focus. Even if you want to focus on one tip of the finger, you can do that. If you want to focus on the tip of your nose, you can do that. You can do all sorts. Mind has got this power. Provided you got your one point and focus, you can do that. It says focus on the force that is driving your lungs. Don't focus on the breath that is coming in and out. Oh, that's boring. Focus on the force that is moving your lungs in and out, in and out. Haven't you this unconscious movement? But you just keep focusing on it. Try it. I'm telling you tonight, try it. Just focus your mind. Just become one-pointed. Just say nothing else, no thought, nothing. I don't care about all these lectures. I just want to focus on this thing that is making me go boom, boom. Just focus on the force that is driving your lungs, not the breath itself. Forget it. Just do it, I'm telling you. When you focus just on the force that is driving your lungs, just become one-pointed. First, it will be very difficult. Your mind will be wavering. It won't focus on it. But slowly, after, say, a few minutes, you'll be able to focus on the force that is actually driving your lungs. And when you do that, my friends, I'm telling you from experience again, I don't say just because I read a book. I don't believe in things like that. Unless I experience, I don't believe in stuff. So if you do that, I'm telling you from my experience, at certain moment, while you're focusing on becoming one point on your movement of your lungs, you'll suddenly get an electric shock. You say, shock? I don't want shocks. Very sweet shock. First time you feel like that, and you feel you are out of the body. You won't run out, don't worry, you won't lose your body. But you will first time feel you are out of the body experience. Just focusing on the life force. Because you know what happens? When you become focused on that force, you are now no longer fixated on the idea of the body, you are now fixated on something that is non-physical, like lightning, like electricity. You're focusing on that. And that allows you to rise above this very limited kind of vision about yourself. Oh, I'm the body, not body, you are something. Touch it, just touch that. You get a shock, a sweet, you don't like the shock you get when you put your finger in, don't do that in the electric socket. But you get like that. I'm telling you, you get like that.
I guess next time I try to meditate, whenever I get the time to, I guess I could focus on my breathing. But he says don't focus on the breath. Focus on what makes the breathing. What is that exactly? I was thinking your diaphragm, basically. Your lungs literally doesn't expand and contract just because you tell it to. It's your diaphragm is, I think, what makes your lungs expand and contract. So, but he says focus on the force. Like, what is that? I don't understand. If it doesn't explain here, what is that? Like, do you focus on your lungs inhaling, then exhaling? Because he said don't focus on the breath, so it's just the inhaling and exhaling of the lungs. or is it something else he's talking about? That's one thing so far he didn't quite explain, and I'd like to know, and I'd like to definitely try. I definitely need to just set 5 minutes apart and just do that. I definitely need to get started, but like I've said before, I do want to excuse me, I do want to start doing some form of meditation at the very least. But like he said, you know, the environment must be right, and I don't think that's going to happen this year, but I still want to kind of at least touch up on it ever so often just to kind of get it started, I suppose. But anyways, what is this thing he's talking about? Don't focus on the breath. Is it just the inhalation and exhalation of the lungs as opposed to the breath? Or I can't really feel the diaphragm. You know, when you inhale, the diaphragm, I think, is contracting so that your lungs can fill up, and then when you exhale, the diaphragm's expanding, I believe, and letting all the air out. But I don't know how to focus on the diaphragm. So, or is it something else? Let me know.
It allows you for a moment to get a glimpse regarding a deeper reality that that is your nature. Anyway, I've given you quite an interesting run, and I'm asking you to practice this at home rather than do it here. But before we go, hang on. Before we go, what is the solution? What happens if you are successful in yoga? This is the real yoga, not the physical yoga. First, suppose you don't succeed in getting the experience that I'm talking about. Fair enough. You lead a very disciplined, very focused life. You become very focused individual. You do very well in any field you go into. Any academic field you go into, provided you're doing yoga, you'll succeed in any field. Suppose you want to become a businessman, you want to become this, engineer, whatever, you'll succeed dramatically. Because it makes you one-pointed. This is the worst thing that will happen if you practice yoga. Worst thing is you become excellent in any profession you take on. You will. That's the worst. What's the best? This is what I'm promising you. Every prophet of every world tradition, every mystic, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, were successful in yoga. They touched base with a deeper dimension. And they came out with, I saw God, I saw heaven, oh, I saw this, oh, I saw prophets, I saw angels. They come out with all this expression, but this is their touch base with this deeper vision regarding who we are. And that gives them expression because very varied, depending on the culture they belong to. So they say gods and goddesses, they might see themselves the spirit, whatever. Buddha says, I become enlightened. Christ says, I see the Father in heaven. But whatever I am suggesting to you, every prophet, every mystic, or every world tradition has knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously touched base with what I am telling you. Experiential religion, not belief system, actually experience. It is through this experience they become prophets. So, at worst, you become very strong in the field that you take on. And at best, you are going to become prophet of mankind. And at Eton, they'll put up your statue as well. I think I should finish with that. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
The worse, you become amazing at a skill. Do forgive that, though. That's kind of weird to say. You know, the worst case scenario, you become excellent at something. Oh my! I don't want to be excellent at something. I probably shouldn't take the risk. But yes, and I do believe that too, because when you can calm the mind and your mind's not complete distraction, you have control over your mind, the thoughts and everything going in and out, you become focused on what you're doing. A lot of people kind of already do that when they get into a field that they enjoy, and when they are doing something that, I guess a good example would be whenever you start doing something and then you look at the time, it's like, holy smokes, time flew because you were so into what you're doing. So a lot of people already kind of do it, but not intentionally. Now imagine if you can control that to the point where you can get into that that mood, that mindset, I suppose. And anytime you do something to get into that mindset, regardless of whether it's something that you like to do or not, you become really good at it. And that's the thing, is the fact that people get into this mindset because they're doing something that they kind of like, and they unintentionally get into that mood. But whenever it's something they don't like, they're just distracted. It's like, oh, I wish I could be doing something else. I wish I could be doing that. Now imagine if you can have that focused mindset on everything that you do. You do excellent work. You can do excellent work. Especially if you have the knowledge, you just don't want to do it because you're like, oh, I don't like this job or whatever, you know. So I genuinely do believe in that, even if it's not like you said, the full meditation where you become the prophet, or the worst case scenario, you become an excellent at whatever it is that you're doing. You know, heaven forbid you become that. Anyways, that's my reaction to Raja Yoga, or Yoga of Meditation, Jay Lakhani. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.